Hello Internet, I'm Jackie Fox, and today we're going to be taking a look at the news before we talk a bit about the crunch and what's going to be inside of it. But before even doing that, I want to make the comment that I really thought this was going to be worse. I mean, it looked like they would have to double the speed at which they were releasing things. That's kind of the inevitability everyone was afraid of or looking out for. And there have been a couple of weeks like that, but a lot of the weeks feel pretty slow. Like, I kind of expected perhaps that Jaden and Dark Shiva would show up on the same week, that Bride Lalaya and the bridal couple vision card would show up in the following week. We do have 2 vision cards this week, which is kind of fast. That is one of what happened in one of the previous weeks, but one of them is completely new, which is kind of something that a lot of people hadn't really expected, that there was going to be anything new in this respect. So let's take a look at this new card, and I really like the art for this. It is, I believe she is mid Limit Break, but in comic book form, which is really cool. I don't know how many people are FFBE heads out there, but the Fundamental Forces are a series of comic books that were written in the FFBE world that were, you know, kind of legends of old battles with the Crystal Warriors, and it is kind of this I heard a theory that the comics are actually inspired by the actual Crystal Warriors, like Lucio, who seems to be happily reading a comic in the vision card. I absolutely love it. It's so cool, and I dig it so much. So let's look at what it does, and this is going to be Elena week. We're not necessarily getting an Elena 140, but we are getting Elena's MA2, which is going to bring her up to full 140 power, in addition to an upgrade of her sword, which is kind of a fundamental part of who she is. And also, if you saw my swords video recently, probably the most powerful, although in an odd sort of way, in that just that it has agility on it is really a big deal. One of the most powerful magic swords in the game that is equipable by anyone. It's not like job gated, at least maybe not yet. I don't know if they'll add that with the +1, but those are things we're going to see on Wednesday. Super excited, as well as seeing the stats on this. I would expect it to be a magic oriented vision card, to have maybe some agility on it. The bestowed effect is already agility up, so that feels like, but you know, we've been seeing agility on a lot of vision cards lately, and this feels like the vision card you would put agility on. Maybe some additional luck or evasion on this card as well in terms of stats, but maybe even like a hybrid card, because she was a hybrid unit in FFBE, and this is apparently a Lucio / Elena crossover vision card, and I like that idea so much, and I feel like it would be really cool if it was a hybrid card that both of them could really effectively use. This is also a really good light vision card. I can see a lot of light teams that I would want to use this on. Light has access to some really good red mages, Elena herself included, but also Sylvie. Then you've got Dagger, so that's going to bring in Locke. Locke could do especially well with Glove if you bring in Addison Rae. There's also, you can bring in Gunners into this composition as well. That's going to be Jaden for Light. And I don't see him having as much synergy with what this card does. He also doesn't have slash attacks. But that slash attack up is going to benefit Addison Rae quite a bit. If you run her Blade Soul, which is just a great sub-job choice for her, she can really benefit from that and will get quite powerful off of that. That's kind of what I learned when I was running her with Dark Bahamut, that she will start to favor her slash attacks if she can get a high enough slash attack modifier on her vision card. Maybe even stacking this in into a formation with Dark Bahamut would be particularly powerful. Just getting that maximum slash attack up, getting a secondary evasion card. If you're running Locke, you're probably already running Rob's vision card, whatever that was called, I forget, for the evasion up modifier. So maybe running this as a sub VC, but again, maybe if this has some attack on it, you actually put it on your lock instead of that card and move that to your secondary slot. I don't know, because, and I say this because I think a lot of the things that are going to work with this card are going to be more magic based, so having an attack 50 card isn't really as necessary for these teams, and giving them a different main card for evasion that was not so attack centric is, I think, helpful. You also have critical rate, evasion rate up, so that's going to help them even when they do get hit not take critical damage or negative effects that are starting to come on critical attacks. But also Lucio and Starlight Elena are going to be getting light attack up off of this card as a bestowed effect, as a limited bestowed effect, so that's really going to help both of them out quite a bit. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean that this is a card that's going to be amazing on Lucio. Again, the stats could be kind of all wrong for him, but I do think that it's still going to be a good card on him. It's just whether you want to maybe take a physical or take an attack hit of putting this as your main VC for him or not. But it could be interesting. And there's a number of units in here that I think with the right build, with a second evasion card, really being able to fill out, like, I mean, Light has always had a lot of good cards for evasion, but this would really make it redundant in a lot of ways, and I think it might even be able to push light evasion into something that is more relevant than it has been for a while. You know, this card in combination with Addison Rae could be a pretty big deal. It's also interesting to point out that while she can be built for quite a bit of accuracy, the new standard of DPS, Bridal Alaya, does not have guaranteed hit attacks, so she might have a little bit of issue with this depending on how much you can build up that evasion, but this does seem to fit the path of things that have been added to global in order to benefit the light evasion meta that has been more non-existent in JP, and I think they're hoping to counter what, like, how stubbornly locked the meta is in Dark for JP, and giving it a light counter could really do that. I'm not sure that this card is going to do that, but I'm excited to pull for it, especially because it's a red mage card, and I really love the red mage job. I think that's a really fun one to pull for. There's a lot of interesting units within it, and it's getting pretty interesting. I'm not sure that I necessarily want the evasion up on my red mage team necessarily, unless it involves Elena, but I do see this being a card that I would run for the slash up and the extra agility. But also, I definitely see myself running Elena on my red mage team, for sure, at least on the account that's going to be pulling for this. And then just one more thing that I wanted to point out is that there is still going to be a Road to Worldwide Part 3 for next week, which means that the featured drop rate for Jaden Celebrated is going to remain at 0.8. It's going to remain doubled for another week if you want to pull for him. This is also kind of beneficial if you are, for whatever reason, like, you know, one of the cool things that I don't think people mention, it's small, but like, we get enough free summon tickets that we're getting over 10 at this point if you log in every day and buy the free one. So, you know, I think it's like 11 that we get. That's effectively one pull on a pity that you don't have to do. Now you do have to wait till like almost the end of the week to redeem that. You could do that on Monday, I guess. But it is one less pull that we have to do for basically every unit, or at least every 100 cost unit that comes out. That's something. But it also means that if you still are sitting on those tickets and find yourself sitting on those tickets next week, you might have the chance to lucky pull Jaden as well. But also that is going to mean that, also, I mean, for those people, but also for the people who've already pulled him, the additional 10 shards in the shop are going to keep showing up. Now, on the account that I free pulled him, I wasn't really building for him, didn't really want him necessarily. I've kind of built him up to like level 89 just to do the banner stuff, and maybe I'll slow build him from here because he is a newer unit and I do have some ice that I could play him with. But I'm not really, I mean, it's the same account that I'm going to be trying to pull for fundamental forces on. So I'm not really excited about this, even though I did free pull him. But maybe if you're an ice main, or I don't know, like a spear main or whatever, then maybe this is more exciting for you. But the extension I would really want, the extension I would really hope for, the one that I don't think that we're necessarily going to get from Gumi, just because of how wickedly popular she has been on JP. This is their moneymaker, I think, but Bridal Alaya, I would really like this bonus on her. I've said it a couple times before. If you want to keep extending this concept into the future to make it something more adequate and something more even tempting, because, you know, it's not just about making up to the gamers who've stayed at this point, it's about adding bonuses along the way that'll take some of those people who've dropped the game, or but maybe still follow the news about it, and make them go, oh well, that is good, I'll start playing again. Because we don't, you know, we have a lot of base that's like collaboration to collaboration, or that they come in for a collaboration and they play for a month or so and then they stop. We have a lot of kind of gamers like that, so just generating some good news, like a super hyped unit being on a double drop rate, that would just be great for you. And, you know, you need a win right now. Take it, do it, give it to us, because I really think that that could change it around. Because, like, unless you're going for the Chaos Espers, unless you're a water player, who I think are, strike players aren't great. Anyone with a Perrine deserves extra compensation for the crunch in general, but like everybody who's not a water player pulling for the Chaos Espers or pulling for like strike stuff specifically, I think can pretty safely skip this. I mean, Alaya is such a powerful unit that even people who really shouldn't be pulling for her are going to consider it, you know, a la Sephiroth, a la Bradley. But like, if you are a strike or lightning player, you definitely want this character. You definitely also probably want her vision card. But that being said, she's in the midst of a run of 70 cost units that aren't particularly powerful. Just like, they aren't Sweetheart Mirandas. That's, I guess I'll put it that way. And then we have a collaboration coming up. There's just a lot of things that you could easily skip for if you just go for her, but if you are a water player, you're missing out on some of your best vision cards through this, and that's kind of rough. So again, you know, anybody who is doing strike and water, anybody who is really like excited, you know, built their account around Perrine, I'm sorry. You are especially victimized by this whole decision, but it is good to see them still trying to make it up to us. I'm glad that the period of time of them trying to make it up to us is not over, because I don't think that anybody is really satisfied with what's happened. Like, even I was expecting more for last week, so I guess making last week longer is, again, not the thing I want. You know what I want? Give us double rates on Bridal Alaya, but it's something, and thanks, I guess. But all of that being said, my next video is probably going to be about the crunch. I might do, I don't know, I'll figure out how I'm doing my Elena video. Maybe I'll do a longer video to cover some of the other updates that have come with her, to talk about fundamental forces a little bit more, talk about the stats on Aurora Estrella. I'm not sure I'll be able to fit that into 1 minute, but I might be able to do an Elena short, and I might do 2, maybe. But Minwoo's definitely getting a short. Velna, nah, I think I'm going to skip that, but Minwoo definitely will be. So with all of that being said, thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out, and I appreciate you for being here. So do me that favor. You could also let me know what you think and what you'd like to see in the comments. This is a interesting game. There's a lot of ways you could go with it, a lot of ways to talk about it, to cover it, and to think about it. If there's any that you would hope that I would be able to do for you, such as the weapons guides, that was a pretty neat suggestion from someone, and I'm still working on those. In fact, there's going to be one, well, later today, premiering, but it's probably going to be after this actually is released. So that's going to be on staves. Swords I've already done, but I've also got spears, katanas, and bows coming up in the future for you, so be on the lookout for those. In the meantime, check that link in the description for access to the entire Jackie Fox media empire, links that will lead you all over the internet to Jackie Fox videos, audio content such as podcasts, and in addition to all of that, even books, but also ways that you can give back to the channel, ways that you can help support what I'm doing here, and also just ways that we can hang out. Just come by the Discord. The link to all of that stuff is the Linktree link in the description. Just check it out, and I'll see you in the next one.